Children have been present as characters in anime almost as long as the medium itself. This is largely because a very large percentage of anime has been targeted at children, from toys and merchandising to anime itself. A few large names come to mind, including Pokemon, Naruto, and One Piece, and so on, and these are some of the biggest series and are almost synonymous with anime itself. All three of those shows share one feature apart from all of their other similarities. They are shonen anime. Anime that are usually about a coming-of-age story in which a young hero defies all odds. All of us are familiar with the tropes, which notably include the power of friendship, the rage moment, and that girls are usually all but useful in all shonen anime. But today's video is not discussing those mainstream big names. It's discussing one major flaw of shonen anime, and that is the portrayal of children. Children in shonen anime are shown to be these intellectual and capable individuals, whereas in real life they are anything but. I understand that creators want children to portray themselves and put them... It's a form of wish fulfillment almost, but this is just an issue I have with shonen anime. And today I'll be talking about two shows which actually managed to get some aspects of the young psyche right. And these two shows include Hunter x Hunter and Neon Genesis Evangelion. Both of the series have received critical acclaim, and while they do rightfully so, from their gripping plotlines and amazing animation to their splendid OSTs, what I want to talk about today is how these two series portray children, or at least some aspects of them, in almost incredibly realistic ways. Now, before you report me to the authorities and start melting your respective keyboards in rage and anger by typing, "How the fuck do you think little kids killing people and piloting giant fucking robots, alien mutants, is realistic?" Let me explain myself. I find the depressing mental monologues of Shinji and the emotional development of Gon incredibly resonating. To begin with, let me mention the ages of the two characters we'll be discussing today. To begin with, Shinji Ikari is 14 years old in the original anime and is just discovering the wonders of puberty, whereas Gon is this 11-year-old prepubescent child. I'll begin with why I think the two characters are similar. Both Gon and Shinji are put under incredible amounts of pressure and stress. Let's talk about Gon first. Gon is a child who has an incredibly negligent father, and the entire premise of the Hunter x Hunter anime is that he wants to find his deadbeat dad. He meets Kite while searching for his dad, and in Kite, Gon finds the father figure he never had and grows incredibly attached to him. In the penultimate arc of the show, Kite gets kidnapped by a member of the royal guard named Pito. From here on, Gon, who's finally found a father figure, becomes incredibly emotionally distraught upon losing Kite, and his entire motivation for fighting the ants in the first place is retrieving Kite. We see Gon's character begin to crack and stretch and squeeze, and the first instance of this is when they manage to retrieve Kite, who is now dead, but everyone but Gon knows this. All the characters are aware that Kite is now this emotionless, empty puppet, presumably being controlled by Pito. Gon takes a vicious beating from the puppet Kite and swears vengeance and swears to fix Kite, even though we know it's impossible. In these early episodes of the Chimera Ant arc, for the first time we see Gon's desire to kill with malice and for vengeance. This only becomes stronger when later on Morale raises a finger against Gon's resolve and strength and tells him to hit him as if he was responsible for Kite. Gon has a flashback, and the scene that tells this can only be described as Morale shitting his pants. Gon then later regains his composure, admitting that he would have killed Morale if not for Killua's intervention. We edge towards the end where Gon threatens an innocent girl called Komugi, who has done nothing to earn Gon's spite.
頼む。待ってくれ。
And at this point, we as the viewers are no longer sure if we can see eye to eye with Gon. We are no longer comfortable. The innocent boy is no longer innocent. He's no longer smiling, laughing, nor does he want to help his friends who are getting destroyed by the other members of the Royal Guard. We are no longer sure that Nen is a suitable weapon for Gon to be wielding. It's like putting a knife in a child's hands. At this point, we see Gon act with the impetulance of a child who is not getting what he wants. It's as if he doesn't know how to act anymore or what to do, and he keeps jumping into these momentary lapses of rage that can only be described as childish tantrums, only exaggerated to another whole level. Finally, when Peter reveals that Kite is dead, Gon jumps into one of the most terrifying rage moments in all of anime and sinks into this seething, calm and cold storm and utterly decimates Peter. At this point, a single thought resonates within the viewer. A child can only take so much before breaking. A child does not know how to deal with anger and stress. Hell, most adults wouldn't be able to deal with the life and death situations that Gon was dabbling in. It is this slow decay of composure and emotion that I find is an incredibly accurate part of Hunter x Hunter. Moving on to our favorite pussy bitch, Shinji Ikari. I'm sure all of you have seen the memes about the generic looking kid who refuses to get into the goddamn robot. What everyone forgets is that Shinji is also a neglected child whose mother died and whose father is incredibly negligent and basically gets his son suicide for a job. Shinji is an introverted 14-year-old whose mind can simply not handle the urgency nor the importance of the situation, which is quite literally saving the world. Some part of him still believes that the adults will be able to sort everything out, and another part of him is one that constantly seeks approval and praise from his peers and said adults, the most notable of which include his father, Gendo Ikari, who basically ignored Shinji for the beginning of his life and only picked him up when he needed him. Shinji is scared of taking risks and doing something wrong, exactly like every 14-year-old who's overly obsessive about how they seem to everyone else. Instead of making a mistake, Shinji would rather run away rather than dim in the eyes of those from whom he so desperately seeks attention. And when finally everything is going to shit, and you wait for the cliches, you wait for our hero, Shinji, to rise up and defy all odds and destroy the angels, Shinji just sinks into this ball of depression, blaming everyone else for everything that went wrong, blaming everyone but himself. We see children like Shinji every day in our lives, orphans and neglects who are forced to grow up too quickly and are not allowed to enjoy their childhoods. Neglects spend their entire childhoods trying to just get a quantum of attention from their parents and usually fail to do so. Then they look to their peers for mutual respect. If a child has neither of those two scenarios may occur, the child may still rise up and find his place in this world. A good example would be famous rapper Eminem, whose father abandoned him and whose mother was a drug addict, but he still managed to become successful, even more than most people. Or the child may become a depressed and useless member of society who has nothing to contribute, which is exactly what happened to Shinji. Shinji also offers a peek at the mind of a male teenager. His mind is constantly intrigued about concepts such as love, kissing, and sex. We see this in the movie, which I believe to be the true ending of Evangelion. The movie is called, fittingly, The End of Evangelion, and in the very beginning, where Shinji does one of the most disgusting things I've ever seen in all of anime. He masturbates to a comatose girl. Moreover, Shinji is an orphan and lacks parenting, which is an essential part of any childhood, without which a child may become depressed and feel isolated, abandoned, and feral. Through this, a child may learn to blame the world and view it negatively instead of retaining that hopeful optimism that all children and teenagers should retain. Evangelion manages to very accurately depict the themes of neglect and teamwork and the lack thereof. It is a very well done character study, and even though I'd be hard pressed to say that I actually like any of the characters with the exception of maybe Misato, I cannot deny that all the characters are very slickly written. Both these shows do a stellar job of portraying how children would actually act if they were placed in stressful situations, and both shows show the two ways in which a child cannot handle the importance of very urgent and important situations. And this is only a small part of what makes these shows so engaging and interesting as pieces of art and